Hi there. My name is Sean. I'm looking forward to starting a series here at Not at the Park Baseball 2027, the 27th iteration of the renowned baseball game that a lot of folks love to play. And as a Yankee fan, I wasn't sure exactly where I wanted to focus some time and attention, but the storylines just around the Boston Red Sox this year is too hard to ignore. And the ability to step into that situation in a simulation engine seemed an opportunity too easy to pass up. It just seems like a storyline that makes it just too much fun to potentially step into play. Now the Yankees, obviously, as a fan of that franchise, would be fun to step into and play as well, because they are obviously built, to desire to win each and every year. But the Red Sox also would be built to be a team that should compete. Has the pedigree, has the talent in the organization, in the leadership in the front office to compete for a championship each and every year. Now, whether Boston has been really outlaying the cash to acquire talent, to retain talent, to do that the last handful of years is questioned. Have they really been putting their best foot forward from a franchise perspective to put a winning product, a team that's capable of winning a championship on the field? It definitely could be questioned. So the series that we're going to focus on is going to be called the Boston Mandate. We're going to step in, play the series live starting today, May 24th. The Red Sox actually lost today's game, but in starting live, it's actually starting at the beginning of the day, so the game is yet to be played, but it's the final game of the Twin Series. So that's where we'll be starting the series and a kickoff on May 24th of 2026. And we're going to step in as just the GM. And we'll get into game settings in a future video, but I really wanted this initial video just to be an introduction to kind of the role in which we're going to step into as the GM. So we're going to step in just like Craig Breslow and, in a sense, take over from that perspective as the GM with the ownership's kind of perspective and onus that it's kind of all on him now. They've fired a lot of the coaching staff earlier this year in a pretty shocking move that I think not a lot of folks thought would happen, in really putting a lot of the next steps of the focus of the franchise on Breslow to execute going forward. And we're going to kind of pick up that and run with it. And we're going to focus on a lot of the same things, probably a few tweaks. Obviously, I'm not in the brain of Craig Breslow and have all the tools and things at the fingertips, but we're going to try to run the franchise in a situation that's going to look pretty similar to what Boston will most likely be thinking about over the next course of the next couple of years. My focus is really going to be how soon can we win with the crop of young talent they have. Casas, you know, Marcelo Meyer, Duran. Like, are these people that they can build around? Obviously, they have a pretty good, solid pitching staff with Crochet, Bayo. Is Bayo a key cog? So really thinking about that component, and obviously they have the star outfielder. So we really want to focus on our ability to step into that organization, put the players in the right spots, put a coaching staff around them that can also compete and win. So we're just going to walk through a quick document here. Obviously, it kind of even says the keys were already in your pocket. The way we're setting up this mandate perspective is that the coaching staff has been already removed. The replacement staff is there in place to help this crop of young talent. Obviously, their manager had dealt a lot, had worked with a lot of these younger folks, younger players in the organization in the minor leagues. So it's bringing that person in. Are we going to keep that manager? Time will tell. But he probably will be there through the course of 2026. And then at the end of the year, we'll maybe think about how we progress forward from there. But I really like this quote that was put in kind of the document. And again, I built a lot of this using some AI tooling, but I think it's pretty interesting in just this focus. The changes we made earlier this year were difficult but necessary. We have full confidence in our GM to set the new direction. the roster, the staff, the strategy, that's on him now. We expect results. So again, the focus from a Red Sox ownership perspective is let's go win. We feel like this is a strategy in which we can win around young players that can focus on key aspects of the game of baseball and put a winning product on the field. Obviously, where the Red Sox are now, 2026 looks to be a long shot. To have any chance of having anything productive, even a playoff shot, is pretty low at this point. But it's how we can build those foundational components, how we can build around the young core. And I want to find value. Players in across baseball, across other teams, where we can find value in looking at their attributes of how we want to plug and play into the roster in key positions on the field and within the pitching staff, as well as on the field and defensive positions, obviously, and within the starting day lineup, that can put us in a position to win relatively soon. Because if you look at the organization or you look at the division that they play in, obviously the Yankees are going to be a challenge. The Rays are playing unbelievable baseball this year. Orioles are struggling, and obviously Toronto has taken a step back from where they were last year. So it's not an impossible division in which to compete in. The Yankees, while built to win short term, obviously the injury bug can get them at any point, with just more of an aging roster and the way they're constructed, but obviously have just an unbelievable chest of tools to pull from and can make trades to enhance their team throughout the year and into 2027 as well. And the Red Sox, what's the fiscal situation going to be as we step into this team and going forward? Is the budget going to increase? Is it going to get trimmed? Some of those things will be a little bit out of our control. 4 pillars of the front office reset. Develop the young core. We obviously want to focus on identifying the young core of talent that we're going to have. Christian Campbell obviously stepped up in early 2025, played for a while, but then struggled. They sent him back to AAA. He is yet to step back into the major leagues. But they obviously got other talent on the roster that has played and has performed relatively well to stay in the big leagues. But we want to bring up those high ceiling young prospects, get them into the organization as quick as possible, surround them with good coaching staff, give them the confidence to play each and every day and perform well. Youth is going to be the foundation, not a fallback of this organization. We want to find strategic value. We want to find other players across the league where we might have gaps in our current day roster that we can find, identify, potentially acquire through free agency, trades, bring them into the organization, develop them through the Boston way, through this Boston mandate of the focus that we're on, and go that way. And then our coaching staff is going to be focused on obviously developing young talent, high focus on just coaches that work with the younger players, more of a bent towards younger players and not so much the veterans, and then also can bring the most out of those players. And then we want to win in 2 years. That's probably going to be a little bit of a long shot, but again, 2026 is most likely going to be out of the window no matter what we do. It's going to be hard for this team to compete in 2026. 2027, we'd have to see, if you get the right pitching staff. I mean, obviously the pitching staff they have now, the pitching staff is good. With Crochet at the top, if they're healthy, Sonny Gray, got others in that staff that can be well. But again, we're going to really dive deep into a few key aspects. Obviously, we'll work through the roster in another video as well, both just the pitching staff and our current day lineup as it stands. And then we'll look at a few other players in the organization as well from a prospect perspective in the minor leagues. And we'll kind of go from there. But again, these are really the 4 pillars that we have. We want to develop the young talent, find strategic value that we can find across the org. Again, the budget here is not top 5. You would think, hey, this is Boston. It's a big market, storied franchise, playing in Fenway Park. You would think, hey, there's a top 3, top 5, at worst top 7, 8 budget. It's like a 12th. It's kind of mid-tier budget. So we're going to have to find strategic pockets of value that we believe will add value to our team and can outperform what the other GMs and teams in the simulation will find or identify. what kind of baseball do we want to play? The identity of this team. I would love to focus on base percentage. Let's get guys on base. Let's have speed. Let's pressure the defense. Let's take an extra base when we can. We got players already on this team that can do that. Duran obviously comes to mind. Other folks as well that can get on base, steal a bag, take an extra base, stretch that single into a double. That's, not deep in the gap, but is kind of that 50-50 ball. Let's go get that extra bag if we can. We want power. We want to develop the power. I think if anything, you could look at this team now as it's built. Obviously, Casas got hurt last year, has yet to come back in the big leagues here in 2026. And they just don't have a lot of power at the kind of the traditional spots in the lineup that you would think. First base, third base, in the corner outfield spots. They just don't have a lot of power at those spots now, and that's really hurting their team. You look at, Wilson Contreras has played really well in coming over, but even he's not probably kind of the power player, power bat that you would expect in the middle of this lineup. So where can we find that power? Where can we slot it in amongst the current players that we have on the team? But if we can get guys on base, if we can hit the ball at the ballpark, and if we can take some extra bags and pressure the defense, get defenses playing on their toes a bit, mistakes can happen. We can score some extra runs, some cheap runs, maybe on an error or two here and there. And then another kind of item that we want to focus on is defense up the middle. We just want to have strong defense up the middle. I think we have a lot of this already. Obviously, Trevor Story just recently went down with the sports hernia, so he'll be out for a bit. But if we can slot in Marcelo Meyer there at short, second base, center field, obviously with Sedan Rafaela in center, already have a really good center fielder there. But I think we want to focus on the defense in a few key spots as well, and then the power bats on the corners, a good solid catcher. Once we get in the game settings, we'll really dive into why I probably want to focus on the catcher a bit. I understand now we have the ABS system in place, but I do want to put a pretty high value on this, the catcher framing impact. I want the catcher to be a legit position in the game and not just, it's just a robot kind of system behind the plate that knows the strike zone is calling that. I really want framing to be a component to bring a little more of an old school perspective into this game. And then I just want the guys to be savages at the plate. Aaron Boone will obviously always say that with his Yankee roster, is that the guys are savages at the dish. I want this team to also focus on that and just desire to be up at the dish and grip and rip and try to get on base, but try to hit the ball hard, and put it in play. From a pitching perspective, I really want to focus on kind of the power arms. I want to focus on guys that have great stuff, strikeout to walk ratio. I really want to look at some of the stats, really focus on guys that can get that strikeout. Really what I want to focus on. And then there's a strong back end bullpen as well. Get those late innings really locked down. Pitch to contact profiles, really for depth, never really going to be the front line of our starters. I really want guys that just have excellent stuff that can strike guys out. You just see it kind of the storyline in the league. When you got guys that can strike out 25, 30% of the guys, that's just a key differentiator for a starting staff or for any pitching staff, whether they start or in the pen. And then again, the lead defense kind of there in the middle. So here you can see just a year-by-year execution plan. This is kind of where we'll kind of set, obviously with year one kind of being right in the midst, is really we're going to be kind of in this spot of the evaluation of who do we have on the roster that we can really rely on now. Is there guys even in the midst of stepping into this season in the midst of just a disappointing start? The first 50-ish games have not gone the way the Red Sox would have expected. So who can we really focus on to keep? Is there potential players that we'll look to trade at some point this year that have some value across other teams in the organization, and we can get some key value back that we can leverage and build upon for future years? And then obviously we'll get into the off season and into year two. as to what we want to focus on in 2027. So let's pivot over here quick just to show as well where we're at with the game itself. So this is again where we're going to be taking over. And as you can see, I'm coming right in as Craig Breslow. So again, we're going to slot in right as his persona in a sense in the game. So I haven't moved this at all forward. So again, let's just do a quick review of the current lineup that they're using. So center field, we got Rafaela, he leads off. We got Duran at left. Wilson Contreras at first, and obviously you can see there he's had a really solid year, but 10 home runs leading this team. There's just, as you can see, there's just a deficit of power currently in this lineup. Wilyer Abreu, they got Monasterio at short, Yoshida DH, Navarez playing catcher position, Marcelo Meyer, and Isaiah Kiner-Falefa here at third. And then we got Suarez, Gray, Tolley, Connolly, Early, and Brian Bello in the rotation. So again, this is gonna be a lot of fun just to be able to step into this team, take a look at what we have for a roster, and really just build around it. Coming up, obviously we see that Roman Anthony, the star outfielder, currently just out with just a wrist sprain. He's just had a disappointing start to the year. But I'm excited to dive into this. We're not going to keep, this current thing has got the star values. We're going to adjust that. So really the next video I want to focus on, I'm going to update just a review of some of the game settings that we'll be using for the simulation. Our focus, obviously, you can see here 22 and 29. Is there a way that we can get ourselves back? I mean, I think if anybody, you pulled folks, even probably the most folks that don't like the Red Sox as much as possible, still would have thought this team is an 85, potential a 90 win team this year. And then those that really love the Red Sox may be thinking 95 wins at the very upper end, just expecting that the young talent would perform. And then if they were in contention in July, they could make a trade acquisition here or there to really perform. But currently 7 games under 500, 4th in the American League. We got definitely some work to do. But I'm excited with where we're at. I think it's going to be a very interesting situation. Obviously, you can see Henry, 76 years of age. He's demanding. Physical personality is normal. His involvement is normal. His priority right now is balanced. He would love for us to achieve a winning record this year. So he's got some goals for the year that he really wants us to focus on. And but again, it's not like he's expecting us to win in a couple of years. That's really more on us as, is there a way that we can take what we have right now, supplement it with a few key acquisitions in some spots, and achieve success through a World Series championship relatively soon. Time will tell. And then obviously you can see the staff roles. Actually, I want to look at personnel. So the personnel page, obviously we got Breslow in here as the GM. It's going to also show him as the assistant GM. I might make a change there just so it doesn't look so weird that he's kind of in both spots there as well. But we'll probably keep it as is. And this is actually showing Cora as the manager, so we'll have to make a change there to get him out, upgrade Chad Tracy into that managerial role. So we'll off camera, behind the scenes, we'll fire Cora behind the scenes, get Chad Tracy up there, and then we'll get a replacement manager into the AAA system. And I'll take a look at the other kind of coaching folks that are here, just to make sure that the right folks are still around from their current legit staff, and get those right folks in the organization assigned to their positions. So I'm excited. I think this is going to be really fun to just focus on the Red Sox and to be able to kind of go from there. Obviously, we just the injuries with Crochet, even now with some shoulder inflammation. Again, it's going to be a challenging uphill climb here for the duration of 2026. But I think the roster has potential to turn things around. Obviously, it's a storyline, as I mentioned, off the rip, just a storyline almost too good to ignore, of taking the team, plopping it into a simulation engine like Out of the Park Baseball, and running with it for a period of time to see what you can get out of it. I think it's an interesting situation the Red Sox have themselves in. Obviously, I'm sure the fan base is up in arms as to what has transpired so far here in 2026. I don't think if you could have told folks, hey, you're going to get to Sunday, May 24th, and this is what the situation is going to be, I think everybody would have laughed you off a chair at the start of the year for how things have transpired so far. So the Red Sox currently sit fourth in the division, 7 games under 500, tied for last in the division with the Orioles, who have also just, for a team that you would have thought would have been on the cusp of kind of breaking through, just haven't been able to do so. So is there a way that these Boston Red Sox, is there a way that we can bring this team around and find some potential here and build from it, shake things up in the American League East, and get back to some winning ways in Beantown? So I'm excited. I hope you are as well, and are interested in coming along for a ride. I would love for you to take a view, take a listen, drop in every now and then, throw a comment in the comment section here on YouTube, and just have some ideas, some suggestions as to what we should do with the current day roster. And again, if you think there's some prospects in the organization that we should get up sooner than later, would love to hear those suggestions as well. So with that, I appreciate it, and we'll talk to you soon.